You're watching Fugitive Red Eye, and welcome to another episode of Media Opinions. It has been a fat fucking minute since I've done an episode of Media Opinions, so I thought it was time I do one again. So, in today's episode, I'll be talking about what, in my opinion, is the best type of anime. Now, anime comes in all shapes and sizes, and one of the things people tend to say about it is the nice thing about it is there's an anime for everyone, because there's many different types. And there's many different types of types, if you get what I'm saying, because there's genre, style, time frame, themes, all sorts of things that can factor into what we're talking about with types here. There's a lot of, battle shonen stuff that gets released now that, in all honesty, I'm kind of burnt out on. I'm just kind of tired of the battle shonen tropes. I watched the first couple seasons of My Hero Academia, and I thought it was fine. But I haven't watched it for a while now, and I just don't know if I really have any interest in going back to it, because battle shonen anime is all just kind of the same, in my opinion. There's differences in, characters and plots and themes and stuff like that. But a lot of them just kind of follow the same beats, and they have the same kind of characters, too. Nowadays, it's always some wimpy high school student that gains some sort of power and becomes strong over time. It just kind of gets dull when that's all you see. Obviously, that's not all that literally exists. You get my point. It's kind of a trope. That said, I don't hate battle shonen anime. There's quite a few battle shonen animes I've liked. I enjoyed Dragon Ball. I enjoyed Dragon Ball Z and GT as well. I would say Dragon Ball Z is kind of overrated. I think Original and GT are both better personally. I know GT being better is a hot take, but that's because I'm more about adventure than I am about action, and GT kind of took it back to those roots. I acknowledge the flaws it has, but personally I just enjoyed it a hell of a lot more. There are also good battle shonens like Fist of the North Star and JoJo that have the big muscle man protagonists that are really cool. You don't really see that a whole hell of a lot anymore. I definitely think 80s battle shonen is better than modern battle shonen. I've never personally been a fan of the slice of life comedy stuff. There's been exceptions, obviously. There are some comedies I like and some slice of life that I like, and I've been more open about them in recent years. But it's still not my main cup of tea. I'm also not too keen on sports anime. I feel like that's just kind of not my thing either. If you count Initial D as a sports anime, I guess that's the only one that I've really liked. But anyway, enough rambling about the different types. Let's talk about, in my opinion, what is the best type. In my opinion, the best type of anime tends to be 80s and 90s OVAs. Old school OVA one-shots or multi-episode trilogies or four-parters or whatever. Old school OVAs were the shit. I've always found that the art tends to be a lot more to my liking. It's very detailed, but it's not all shiny and it doesn't have to be the most detailed like it is now. It's just the right amount of detail, in my opinion, with the old school OVAs. And on top of that, they can get away with a lot more because OVAs were released straight to video, so there was often a lot less censorship. So old school OVAs would typically be really violent and over the top and dark and fucked up. And to me, that's anime at its peak. I don't like a lot of the generic, romance crap we get now. When back in the day, we used to just get people getting ripped apart and all sorts of fucked up dark shit happening. That was what I really like to see. Obviously, my favorite example of these OVAs is the 2-episode Devilman OVA. Technically, there's a third episode that was made 10 years later, being Ammon Apocalypse Devilman. But that was done by a different studio, adapts a spin-off manga, and skips a large chunk of the story. So technically, it's not often considered to be the third episode, although it is by a lot of other people too. And from what I understand, it was intended to be a sequel to the first two, but regardless, it definitely skips a lot of the story, so I get why it's also often not. There's also a lot of great old school OVA hentais from back then too, like Yorotsuki Doji, Demon Warrior Koji, La Blue Girl, basically anything Toshio Maeda did. And then of course there's other stuff by Go Nagai as well. There was Violence Jack, New Cutie Honey, which in my opinion is the best version of Cutie Honey, Shootin' Doji, and many more. I also feel like these old school OVAs are the best types of anime to do Go Nagai's work justice, because they tend to be the best adaptations of Go Nagai's works, because they cut out the fluff, but they keep the story more or less intact. And they do make some additions and changes here and there for sure, but I think that overall, that they tend to be the best Go Nagai adaptations. If they'd have done a full series of the Devilman OVAs, it would be so much better than Crybaby. Don't get me wrong, Crybaby has its place. I enjoy it for what it is, but it's definitely nothing in comparison to the old school 80s OVAs. 80s and 90s OVAs rather, because 89 and 90 is when they came out. But instead we got Chibi-Chara Go Nagai World, which was fine. I enjoyed that too for what it was, a little gag comedy. But these old school OVAs tend to be my favorite type of anime personally. I tend to like the darker, more violent types of anime that exist. Obviously there's plenty of other stuff I enjoy. but that tends to be my favorite. Anyway, I think that's all I'm going to ramble on about here today. Hopefully this video was enjoyable. This has been Fugitive Red Eye. Let me know in the comments what your favorite type of anime is. I know there's all sorts. There's, there's battle shonen, there's slice of life romance, there's comedy, there's sports, there's all sorts of shit. Let me know what you think. What's your favorite? Anyway, this has been Fugitive Red Eye. Have a good one. Toodles.
Suck it, you shit.